You know that feeling, right? When you're in a crisis, when you desperately need help, the absolute last thing you want to hear is, "Sure, we can see you in 6 months." But that's the reality for so many people. Well, today we're going to look at a totally different approach, one that actually meets people in that exact moment of need. Okay, let's get into it.
So, let's start with the story. This is Joe. 2 years ago, something terrible happened to him. He was assaulted. And today was the day he couldn't put it off any longer. He had to talk about it, and the pressure was, well, it was off the charts.
In Joe's story, it really shines a spotlight on this huge gap in our mental health care system. And it also shows us a powerful solution that showed up on what was probably one of the worst days of his life.
Okay, so picture this. Joe and his wife, Sally, are sitting in the district attorney's office. They're there to prep him for testifying at a trial. But as soon as the prosecutor starts asking questions, the trauma just comes rushing back. He has a massive panic attack. He can't get his words out. He's on the verge of passing out right there in the office.
And just look at how this day unfolds. It's a total race against time. The DA says, hey, maybe you should try therapy. So Joe and Sally leave, and right then and there, they start frantically looking for anybody who could see him today. And they find a place, a community clinic. They drive straight there. And by that very same afternoon, Joe is sitting face-to-face with a therapist.
Now, the goal here wasn't some deep dive into his entire life story. No, the goal was to solve the crisis happening right now. And the therapist got that. They basically said, hey, what if we use this time as a dress rehearsal for court? A safe place for you to practice telling your story.
And that was it. That was exactly what Joe needed to hear. By the time that 1 hour was up, he said he felt so much more confident, so much more relieved. He had a plan. He had his voice back. He got what he needed in a single session on the very day he needed it most.
So, you have to be wondering, how is that even possible? What kind of system lets someone just walk in off the street in the middle of a full-blown crisis and get real, effective help without waiting for months?
Well, it's called the open access model, or sometimes single-session therapy. And honestly, it's all about completely flipping the script on how we deliver mental health care.
The big idea here is so simple, it's almost radical. Just get rid of the barriers. No more impossible wait lists. No more mountains of paperwork or pre-assessments that just delay everything. It's about giving people help the moment they have the motivation to ask for it.
I mean, the difference is just night and day. The old way, you get an intake coordinator. You get put on a wait list for months. And by the time they call you, who knows, maybe the crisis is over, or worse, you've just given up. The open access way, you walk in, you fill out maybe a page or two, and you see someone that day. It's that simple.
So why is this idea catching on? Well, it really boils down to 4 huge advantages that make it so incredibly effective.
First, it just works. It grabs that moment of peak motivation, just like with Joe. And the research backs it up. Clients walk away feeling satisfied and less distressed. It's also super efficient. It cuts down on admin costs and all those no-shows. And maybe most importantly, it opens the door for people who would never, ever consider therapy otherwise.
And let's just zero in on that efficiency thing for a second. Kaiser Permanente, a huge healthcare provider, did a study. They found that just by switching to this kind of open access scheduling, their no-show rate dropped by 20%. That's a huge deal. That's way more people actually getting the care they asked for.
And this is not some small niche experiment we're talking about. This open access mindset, it's going global. It's popping up in some of the most creative and frankly surprising places you can imagine.
Seriously, just look at this. We're talking about wellness desks in public libraries in Canada, hairdressers in West Africa getting training to offer basic counseling while you get your hair done, people offering sidewalk talk on busy city streets. There's even therapy available on a medical train that travels through rural Mexico. It's all about one thing, meeting people where they are.
So what this does is it forces us to build a whole new way of thinking about mental health, and it makes us ask some tough questions about the way we've always done things.
And here's the big one, right? This is the question a lot of people ask. It's a totally fair point. We've been taught for decades that you need a really long, thorough assessment to make sure it's safe and to figure out a diagnosis. So, how can you just skip?
This quote from Carl Rogers, one of the giants of psychology, is just incredible. He wrote this way back in 1957. He was already suggesting that maybe,
just maybe, all that diagnostic stuff is more about making the therapist feel secure than what the client actually needs to just start getting better.
So what it all boils down to is this. What's the bigger risk? Seeing someone right away without a full diagnostic history? Or making them wait for months while their crisis gets worse? The truth is, the simple fact that a community knows there's a safety net, that help is available right now, is itself one of the most powerful ways to reduce risk for everyone.
And this model really does open doors. One clinic that tried this was absolutely floored to find that half of their first 100 clients were men, a group that, as we know, is often pretty hard to reach with traditional therapy. When you lower the barriers, when you take away the long-term commitment and you offer help right away, it just makes it easier for everyone to say yes.
In the end, this open access model is a really profound shift in thinking. It's a move away from a system that basically asks, "Are you sick enough to deserve our help?" and moves toward one that says, "You need help right now. How can we give it to you?" It's a shift from being a gatekeeper to being an open door. And it leaves us with a pretty big question to chew on. If anyone, anywhere, could get a helpful, therapeutic conversation the very moment they needed it, how would that change everything?